Imagine this. A woman offers an older employee a cup of coffee. A few seconds later, people are dead. An office worker jumps out the window. Co-workers are beating each other bloody, and an old man named Matsuda is standing in the middle of the chaos like he's done this 100 times before. If you opened a manga and saw that scene, you'd probably think, okay, this is another crazy death game story. But that is the trick, because Employee Deathmatch isn't really about the deathmatch. It's about work, it's about loyalty, it's about burnout, it's about a society that treats human beings as disposable. And what surprised me most wasn't the violence, it was how relatable the story felt. I mean, I've never participated in an employee deathmatch, obviously, but because underneath all the insanity is a fear that a lot of people already have. The fear that after giving years of your life to a company, an organization, that organization won't care about you when you need it the most. The strangest thing about Employee Deathmatch isn't the premise, it's the structure. Normally, stories build towards their climaxes. You meet the characters, you learn about their struggles, you watch tensions rise, then eventually everything explodes. Employee Deathmatch does the exact opposite. It begins with what feels like the climax. The office is already in chaos, people are already dying, Matsuda is already fighting. The story immediately throws you into the most extreme moment imaginable. Then, instead of asking what happens next, the manga asks, how did things get this bad? And honestly, that is far more interesting, because once the violence settles, the manga starts revealing the world behind it, and that's where things become genuinely disturbing. 30 years before the events of the story, Matsuda wasn't a failure. He wasn't a disgruntled employee. He wasn't a killer. He was the best salesman in the company. 23 years old, successful, respected, the kind of employee every corporation claims to value. Then he discovers something. The insurance company he works for has been denying legitimate claims, and claims that were not fraudulent, claims that were not coming from customers that were lying. They were rejecting claims just to make more money and hiding behind technicalities. One family is owed 16 million yen, money that they desperately need, money that could help them during one of the most worst moments of their lives. And Matsuda decides to do the right thing. He pushes through the bureaucracy, he approves the claim, he helps the customer, and his life is destroyed. This is where the manga became interesting to me, because the story isn't saying one executive was evil, it's saying the system itself is broken. Matsuda does exactly what companies always tell employees to do. He acts with integrity, he puts customers first, he follows his conscience, and for that, he is punished. His co-workers turn against him, his reputation is destroyed, his career collapses, his mental health deteriorates. Eventually, he becomes so depressed that he considers taking his own life. That's what makes this story tragic. Failure isn't what crushed him. He was crushed because he succeeded at being a decent human being. The genius of this story is that it starts from something real. Most readers will never enter a death tournament. Most readers will never be forced to fight co-workers to survive. But a lot of people understand being betrayed by a company, being punished for doing the right thing, watching corporations hide behind legal language, feeling disposable, feeling exhausted, feeling trapped. The deathmatch is absurd. The emotions underneath it are not. That's why the premise works. It's taking ordinary workplace frustrations and pushing them to their most horrifying conclusions. As workplace suicides rise, the company and government don't address the causes. They don't improve working conditions. They don't protect workers. They don't fix the system. Instead, they create employee death matches. Think about how dark that is. The solution isn't to stop people from suffering. The solution is to monetize the suffering, to weaponize it, to turn it into entertainment. The manga presents a society that has become so cynical that death is easier to manage than reform. And this is where the satire becomes genuinely uncomfortable, because the institution in the story seems more concerned with preserving itself rather than helping people. One of the most fascinating ideas in the manga is the conflict between older and younger workers. Older employees are treated as burdens. Their experience doesn't matter. Their loyalty doesn't matter. Their decades of service don't matter. Meanwhile, the company recruits younger workers who are aggressive, desperate, and willing to do anything. The obvious interpretation would be old workers good, young workers bad. But I think the more interesting reading is that both groups are victims. The company benefits when workers blame each other. The older generation blames the younger generation. The younger generation blames the older generation. Meanwhile, the people at the top continue profiting. It's a conflict that's exaggerated for a death game manga, but it's rooted in something very real. The feeling that workers are being pushed into competition with one another while the system itself escapes criticism. The scene that stuck with me isn't even a fight. It's when Matsuda's friend convinces him to participate in a death match. How? By suggesting he take out a large life insurance policy, just in case he dies. Think about that for a second. The company destroyed his life, the system abandoned him, and now the best financial plan available to him is gambling his life for his family. It's horrible. It's horrifying, because it reduces a human being to a payout. His value is no longer in living, it's in dying. That's probably the bleakest idea in the entire story. Most manga protagonists are young. They represent potential, growth, dreams, the future. Matsuda represents something else entirely. Regret, disappointment, exhaustion, lost faith. He's not starting his journey. He's standing in the ruins of one. And that's what makes him so compelling. The opening scene isn't showing us a man becoming broken. It's showing us someone who was broken years ago. The real mystery is figuring out how much of him still remains. Once you know Matsuda's history, the first chapter reads completely differently. At first, it looks like mindless violence, then it starts feeling tragic. You're no longer wondering why he's fighting. You're wondering why nobody stopped this from happening decades earlier. The office massacre stops becoming a shocking hook. It becomes evidence. Evidence of a society that failed its workers so completely that violence became the logical endpoint. That's a much more interesting use of a hook than simply trying to grab attention. The manga isn't saying, look how crazy this is. It's saying, look what this system created. At first glance, Employee Deathmatch looks like another over-the-top survival manga. A ridiculous premise built around violence and spectacle, but underneath the bloodshed is a surprisingly effective critique of modern work culture. It's about loyalty that isn't rewarded, integrity that gets punished, corporations that prioritize profit over people, and workers who slowly lose faith in the systems they're told to trust. The deathmatch isn't the real horror. The real horror is the idea that after dedicating your entire life to a company, your death might end up being worth more to them than your life. And that is what makes Employee Deathmatch so unsettling. If you enjoyed the review, please go check out Black Swan's manga in the link in the description. And don't forget to like the video, subscribe, really helps the channel grow. But remember, thank you for giving me your time today. Peace.